afternoon. This is the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners for a public hearing for January 9th, 2018. Tonight we'll have a public hearing on amendment to Thurston County sign regulations. And so today's public hearing is to set public testimony on proposed amendments to Thurston County sign regulations in the 4 Thurston County zoning ordinances to change rules for non-commercial and temporary signs. So I've asked staff from Resource Stewardship, Mr. Jeremy Davis, to come give us a background and some understanding what this change is about. And so with that in mind, I'll ask him in just a second. But for those who in the audience or in the public wish to sign in and come forward to testify behind the podium in a few minutes, I ask you to sign in when you do, give your name and where you're from in the county in general for the record, and then we'll proceed forward with the testimony. With that in mind, I'll ask Mr. Jeremy Davis to take us through the next step as far as the background and information on this change.
Yes, Chair Blake, Commissioners, again, Jeremy Davis, Thurston County Resource Stewardship, long-range planning. Today, as Chair Blake indicated, today we're here to hold a public hearing on proposed amendments to the Thurston County sign regulations. This is a targeted amendment to address a 2015 United States Supreme Court decision regarding non-commercial signage down in Gilbert, Arizona, and that's the Reed v. Gilbert Supreme Court case. And in that, the court came down and said that jurisdictions can't regulate non-commercial speech signs on the basis of content, so we can only regulate on the basis of time, location, and manner, in other words, size, dimensional requirements. Non-commercial speech signs, just for example, are church signs, political signs, people just stating their general opinion about life. Those are all non-commercial speech signs. So the affected sign regulations are in the Thurston County zoning ordinance, which is Title 20. The zoning ordinance for the Lacey urban growth area, and this affects their unincorporated portion of their urban growth area only. The Tumwater UGA zoning ordinance and the Olympia UGA zoning ordinance, and again, these only affect areas in the unincorporated county. They don't affect anything inside of the city limits. They have their own zoning ordinances for that. On this one, the Planning Commission completed their review in 2016. Staff took a look at that recommendation, and we conducted a legal review on it and found other areas of the code that needed to be changed, such as adding provisions to allow these non-commercial speech signs in the county owned or operated rights of way. Also, the Planning Commission included limitations on the number of signs on person's property, which we found we couldn't do that, and also time limitations that were taken out. Staff worked with Public Works staff to develop some of those regulations for allowing signs in the rights of way to make sure that whatever we were proposing was consistent with the county road standards, and the terminology is the same in both of those. There was a document placed on the county website that detailed those changes between the Planning Commission recommendation, what you have before you today, to allow people to review that. We published a notice for this public hearing on December 14th, 2017. We also issued a press release and sent out a webmail to our webmail list. I went further than that and went back and met with Grace Kendall, who's the owner of Fast Signs, yesterday, just to get her input on this, and her public comment is attached to the notes that you have before you. And she expressed support for the regulations that we're proposing them right now. Looks like we covered everything. And also expressed support for the county updating its sign code in the Lacey UGA to be consistent with the city's current code. So with that, are there any questions?
Is this part and parcel or completely separate from what I've been reading in the last week? This is non-commercial signs.
Non-commercial signs, yes, sir.
So regarding panhandling signs, people out there with signs, it's considered by the Supreme Court now free speech, and they've been striking down different jurisdictions across the country, or at least around the state in this county.
I'm not absolutely certain, but I guess you could call that a form of non-commercial speech. I think there are some other court cases that address the people holding signs in rights of way and on sidewalks. That are actually state case law as well.
So that's not this, though?
Not necessarily.
Permanent signs.
Yeah, these are
permanent signs.
Yeah, these are permanent signs, and then the temporary political signs for the political races and
All
such.
right, thank you, sir. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. I'll listen to public comment. Okay.
Josh, Robin.
So I asked if there's anybody who signed in as far as the public comment. None? Okay. So, with that in mind, is there a motion, or any other discussion?
No more discussion.
Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the BOCC public hearing of January 9, 2018.
Second.
Been moved and second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, and that motion carries.
That was quick.
Move to adjourn this meeting.
I second that.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye, and that motion carries as well. We are adjourned.